"Crucify him! Crucify him!" But Pilate said, "Why? What evil has he done?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him!" Disturbing words, to be sure. But can you be certain what you would have done had you been living during the trial of Jesus? After all, there were valid, rational reasons that justified suspicion of him. He was a revolutionary. He opposed the establishment, the leaders of the government, and the heads of the church. He threatened to upset the status quo. Would we have cast our lot with him, or would we have denounced him as a demagogue and a rabble-rouser and joined with the mob yelling, "Crucify him"? It's frightening to think what we would do if our strength of conviction were tested. The important question now, however, is not what our choice would have been then, but what choices are we making today? Following him still means having a new and different sense of values. It still means denying our own desires. It still means swimming upstream against the tide of popular opinion. The choice is still between what society has established and what God requires. The witness testifying here today represents the establishment by which the Jewish people lived, and many of them comfortably. The prosecutor will concentrate on the fact that Jesus is a threat to their time-honored style of life. And the defense will point out the greater threat to our world, to our society, and to our personal lives if we choose, along with that establishment, to put Jesus away. The verdict is up to you. The responsibility is yours. You are the jury.
The jury will rise. Be seated.
The prosecution may call its next witness.
I have only one, Your Honor. High Priest Caiaphas will now take the stand. High Priest Caiaphas, you are a high priest of Israel, am I correct?
Yes, I am.
Sir, what are your responsibilities as high priest?
I preside over the Sanhedrin.
And what are the duties and the functions of the Sanhedrin?
The Sanhedrin is the governing body of Israel. We are Israel's highest court of justice.
So you have jurisdiction over the temple as well as the state?
Yes.
In other words, you are charged with the responsibility of preserving the religious faith and the well-being of the people.
Yes, our religious faith is most important to us.
So you were presiding officer over the trial of Jesus of Nazareth. Is that not correct?
Yes, I was.
Could you please tell us, what was the verdict of that trial?
We found him guilty.
And the sentence?
He was sentenced to death.
That was extremely harsh. Could you tell us, please, why you felt so strongly that Jesus should be put to death?
He was threatening to undermine our beliefs, our society, and our whole way of life. He was a menace.
Very, very serious charge, to be sure. Can you substantiate it?
I certainly can. The heart of our society is the law of Moses. It is our confession of faith, our Constitution, and our Bill of Rights. Without the law of Moses, we are no longer God's people. Without the law of Moses, we are no longer a nation.
Can you offer us instances where Jesus declared his opposition to the law of Moses?
Absolutely. Our distinction as God's people is that we trace our lineage back to Abraham. And it is through Abraham and his children that God offered his promises to us. In return, we offer ourselves to him. Every part of us, our families, our finances, our futures, we place on his altar. God and only God is our head of state. This Nazarene mocks this. He thinks of himself as a god, that he was even before Abraham, and that he and God are one. How could such blasphemy be ignored?
Well, that is certainly grounds for a charge of blasphemy.
He also flaunted the laws of the Torah regarding the Sabbath. He treated sick people on the Sabbath. He permitted his disciples to harvest the wheat and eat on the Sabbath. He ate consecrated bread, which is not lawful for anyone to eat except the priests, and he gave it to those who were with him. This is expressly forbidden.
Anything else?
He desecrated the temple. He actually upset the tables of the merchants we permitted to sell animals for sacrifices. And the money changers, he drove them out with a whip.
High Priest Caiaphas, you mentioned a few moments ago the term disciples. Could you please tell us, who were they?
The worst imaginable. His friends are tax collectors and prostitutes. He is constantly surrounded by swarms of rabble, idiots led by a fanatic. There is nothing more dangerous.
So he was a real threat to authority, to you, and to the Sanhedrin.
He was the most dangerous force to our religious beliefs and our way of life that I have ever had to deal with.
One more question, most honorable high priest. You, as high priest, recommended to the Roman governor, did you not, that Jesus be crucified?
We did more than recommend it. We demanded it.
Thank you, High Priest Caiaphas. You have stated your position and your responsibility very well. I thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine?
Yes,
Proceed.
High Priest Caiaphas. You testified earlier that Jesus is a dangerous man. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because he did not honor the Sabbath, because he drove the money changers from the temple, and in your opinion, he defied the law of Moses. Is that correct?
This carpenter from Nazareth considered himself above the law of Moses.
But didn't Jesus say on numerous occasions that I have come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it?
I never heard him say it. And besides, if that's true, where and how does he have the right to make such a statement?
Well, that is why we are here, isn't it? Now, sir, as a member of the Sanhedrin, well, it's high priest, in fact, you consider yourself a man of God. Is that correct?
I most certainly do.
And that means that you are a follower and protector of the law of Moses. Is that not correct?
Of course.
So you spoke of Jesus defiling the law of Moses by working on the Sabbath. But tell me, sir, are not acts of mercy acceptable on the Sabbath?
The law is very specific.
Oh, I see. How do you spend the Sabbath?
What do you mean?
Well, what do? Do you not clean the sanctuary? Do you not prepare the altar, prepare the sacrifices, take charge of the treasury, the counting of the tithes? Well, all these are done on the Sabbath, are they not?
These are all duties performed in preparation of the Sabbath service.
Is that not work?
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is not the one on trial.
I withdraw the question, Your Honor. Now, we have established that you are responsible for the care of the temple.
It is a tremendous responsibility, and it comes directly from God.
Yes, it must be. And you took great offense when Jesus cleared the temple of the traders and money changers.
The traders offered an important service. Many of our people traveled great distances to pray at the temple. They cannot all be expected to bring a suitable sacrifice with them. The money changers, they converted the money, the Greek and Roman money, into Jewish and Tyrian money.
For a price, I presume.
They charged a fair rate.
Now, let me see. A stall near the temple would be a prime spot to carry on such a business. Now, who decides which traders and money changers would be allowed to trade in the temple?
That decision would be made by the priest.
But you are the high priest, so surely you took part in the decision.
Of course I did.
So, it was you who allowed this most holy place to be turned into a marketplace. Tell me, sir, did any money cross your palm in the transactions?
Objection, Your Honor. This has nothing to do, and the questioning is completely out of line.
Sustained. Counsel, I will not warn you again. Confine your questions to the charges that are before us now.
Your Honor, it is common knowledge that the high priest has in the past leased stalls within the temple. Why should not one expect the same with the trading stalls?
Counsel, move on.
Yes, Your Honor. Jesus is a Jew charged under Jewish law. Is that correct?
And judged by the temple priest.
So then why was he taken to Pontius Pilate?
We were seeking a death penalty, and for that we needed the permission of the Roman prefect.
And was not he so inclined to spare Jesus?
Once he was aware of the will of the people, he agreed.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You, an official man of God, protector of the law of Moses, which recognizes God and only God as the leader of the Jewish people, need permission from a Roman pagan leader to conduct your business? Explain that to me. Oh, I understand why you wish not to answer the question. See, you profess to be a man of God, yet were you not appointed high priest by another Roman pagan official, the former governor Valerius Gratus? Are you at a loss for words, Mr. Caiaphas, or just confused as to where your loyalties lie?
I am not on trial.
Has a Roman god made its way into the Torah? Does Zeus now rule your God as well?
That is
Objection!
blasphemy! Blasphemy!
No, sir, you are the blasphemy. I say to you that where Jesus practiced his faith well within the confines of the law of God, you, sir, for lack of courage or conviction or both, have defiled the very core of your religious beliefs. How then can you pass judgment on this man?
I am the high priest. This Jesus, he's nothing more than a mongrel, a deceiver and a fake.
Oh, so the truth finally comes out. You're terrified of him.
Objection!
I have no more questions.
Does the prosecution have any further questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
High Priest Caiaphas, you may step down. The prosecution may sum up.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there are two things which must vitally affect your judgment today as jurors. One is the testimony you heard, and two is the source you heard it from. Caiaphas is the high priest of the Sanhedrin and represents a long line of high priests going back to Aaron, the brother of Moses. He is the man chiefly responsible for preserving the faith and looking out for the welfare of his people. It is the position of Caiaphas that Jesus of Nazareth was plotting to overthrow the government. We've already shown that he flaunted the law of Moses, the God-given constitution of the nation. Jesus attacked all of the cherished values and traditions by which a nation has lived for hundreds of years. He defied the high priest and all the leaders of Israel. He assumes authority in the temple as though he was the high priest and holds the rightful leaders in contempt. He poses as a savior and a friend of all the people and demands of them a loyalty greater than what they owe their nation and their own family. His alternative: believe in me and live, or reject me and die. Jesus talked and acted as though he were the promised Messiah. He had to be removed. Crucifixion is not pretty, but it is better than the extinction of an entire nation. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I know you are a spiritual people. I know you are an intelligent group of people. And I know you will make the right choice.
The defense may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The prosecuting attorney says we must consider the source of the testimony, and I agree. The prosecution wants you to believe that because of his high office, Joseph Caiaphas is a pious and trustworthy man. I strongly disagree. How can one profess piety and at the same time harbor a murderous hatred in his heart for someone who taught and practiced nothing but goodness and mercy? Joseph Caiaphas loves his lifestyle. He loves the honor and prestige of his office. He delights in proclaiming that he is the defender of the faith and the champion of Moses, yet his very appointment defiles the law that he is entrusted to uphold. Joseph Caiaphas holds his position of high priest at the pleasure of the Roman Empire. Telling people the damaging truth about themselves is a dangerous business. Oh, they don't take it lying down. They fight it. And in this instance, the life Caiaphas enjoys depends on proving Jesus wrong. He must turn the tables and accuse him of flaunting the law of Moses, even though he cannot successfully charge Jesus with one single crime. And this really goes to the heart of why Caiaphas hates Jesus so. Namely, his teachings, which proclaim the law of God was given to free our hands for service to one another, to show love to God, and to show love to all our fellow human beings. Caiaphas was loved by Jesus, in spite of the high priest's hatred towards him. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't there a bit of Caiaphas in all of us? Well, this is why we can understand him so well. We all, in some measure, love our own lifestyles. We want to stay within our own comfort zones and not taking time to understand those who are maybe different from us. We want to believe in our own brand of piety, and often what we ardently believe is what is convenient and comfortable for us to believe. And then we look around for arguments and Bible passages to support our beliefs. But the teachings of Jesus are powerful. They don't focus on what is comfortable, convenient. They don't focus on the material possessions, the right personal connections, or media attention. Jesus didn't heal only those of his same faith or skin color. He didn't charge a monetary fee or make a conditional arrangement or definitely guarantee us a glamorous lifestyle. He simply asked us to let him love us. And if we choose to let him live within us, he will be guiding our daily choices for human contact, not for our own self-centeredness, but in service and love to one another. Think of what the world would be like today if we were all in service and love to each other. Love. It's so simple. The choice, well, that's not so easy, but it is so simple. Thank you.
Very well. The evidence will conclude with the next witness. Jury deliberations will then begin. The trial is adjourned. This court is in recess.
What do we do when things don't go our way? What do we do when it's neither convenient or comfortable to follow and answer God's calling? Do we say, sorry, God, I'm too tired, it's too much, it's too hard, I don't want to? Or do we say yes? Yes, God, use me, take me. Guide my path. Let me serve. I'll do my very best. Go from this place knowing that every weakness you have is just another opportunity for God to use you. Hi. Good. Thank